If I had to start crypto in 2025, here's exactly what I'd do to make great gains without the emotions and stress that comes along with the cryptocurrency bull market. Because investing in crypto, it doesn't have to be difficult. And it really only comes down to a few valuable skills to be successful in a bull run. But unfortunately, there are a few obstacles that keep everyday investors from succeeding in the bull run. They spend hours and a ton of their hard-earned money, just like me in 2020 and 2021, that I put so much effing time into the market, thought I made it, did technically make it on paper, but ultimately I learned the harshest lesson by riding this all the way back down. And really, I think it comes down to two things. There's an old way and there's a new way in cryptocurrency. And the new way doesn't have to be so difficult, because I want to go over the new way to be successful on everything I've learned from losing everything in 2020 and 2021. So you guys can pretty much just do the opposite. So you don't have to sit through 4 years and lose everything in cryptocurrency and hopefully leave the market with some gains. Now, the reason I know this because my portfolio, now I don't show this to flex. Portfolio is doing well right now. Market pumped last night and we're back at 1.2 million. And I show you this because it wasn't always like this. In 2020 and 2021, like I said, I did great. But I got it very, very wrong, and I wasted 4 years and $950,000 when ultimately that tumbled down to pretty much zero, trying to learn a new way myself. But my loss is your gain, so you can pretty much just take all the lessons that I had to make in 2020, and they were tough, man. Like, honestly, they were so bad. I look back at them, and maybe you guys did if you were involved in the first bull run, because if you're taking 2020 to 2025, you've probably learned a lot of lessons. I'm going to try and share some new lessons as well, so we can all come together. But there's a lot of people in 2025, and there's new people that aren't even in the market yet. And these guys really need to come to terms with what is on horizon in the next kind of 3 to 4 to kind of 5 months. Because if they don't, they're going to make a bunch of money on paper and unfortunately lose it all. So here's my crypto blueprint. If I could go back to 2020 and 2021, and I could tell the younger version of me in 2021, Jake, just give me this piece of advice and it's going to save you years of painful mistakes trying to master the cryptocurrency bull run today. Now, real quick, a quick disclaimer. This video is obviously not financial advice. Crypto is obviously risky and highly volatile. And of course, no results are guaranteed. But obviously, we can kind of do the best results possible to kind of get gains. That is the goal here. There's some offers in my description link that may be affiliate links, and meaning I may earn a commission. And this content is, of course, for experienced users only. And you can read the full disclaimer if you care in the description below. So lesson number 1, and it comes down to the daddy, which is Bitcoin. Now, I know a lot of people don't really care about Bitcoin, and that's absolutely fine. But if we can understand Bitcoin dominance, like a lot of people keep talking about, but nobody ever explains, I'm not looking at Bitcoin's price here. I'm looking at Bitcoin dominance. And lesson number 1, it comes to Bitcoin's dominance and the 5 phases of the shift. Now, hearing this, and what I'm about to tell you, I just wish I had this in 2020 and 2021, because what I was doing was I was going for 100K Bitcoin. Ethereum, $10,000. This altcoin, $10. This altcoin, $2. But it got me onto this new way. You guys have probably seen this before, but I'm going to try and tell it in an easier way of understanding Bitcoin dominance. And really the 5 phases that Bitcoin dominance does go to, so you can understand when to get out, when to take profits, and when to rotate money if you plan to do so. And the kicker is, just having this chart alone on your side, it stops you from chasing price targets that get a lot of people wrecked. So step 1, if you want this for yourself, you guys should already have this. TradingView, it's absolutely free to do. You can see I've still got a free account. There's loads of ads here because you don't need to pay for TradingView, right? All you need to do is load up TradingView and come into this plus sign here, go understand crypto, and just type in BTC.D, and this will give you Bitcoin's dominance chart. Obviously, I've got some drawings in here. You can come and draw it. You guys should already know how to do this if you want to type some lines, or you could just screenshot mine. This is typically what I'm doing to exit this bull run with, hopefully not paper gains, and actually realize those gains before they come paper losses. And really, if I take this down to here, this is a screenshot here, and this talks about the 5 kind of colors of Bitcoin dominance. Now, you've got the gray zone, you've got the blue zone, you've got the green zone, you've got the yellow zone, and you've got the very, very, very dangerous red zone. And right now, we're currently about 60%. And this is fantastic because we've came down from 65 to 61%. 60% give or take on the day. Now remember, this doesn't mean Bitcoin's price is going down. This just means altcoins are starting to get dominance, and thus Bitcoin's dominance starts to go down. In a bear market, Bitcoin's dominance goes up because altcoins are pretty much worthless. In a bull market, as you can start to see, in 2021, Bitcoin's dominance gets absolutely crashed. This is where you make those money. But if you don't realize the 5 kind of colors here, and you actually take out your profits or rotate to other coins, you never realize any money. Now, again, for me personally, most of my gains where I'm going to be taking profit is going to be in the yellow zone. Okay, that's 45 to 50%. This is just my example. You can create your own if you want. Now, historically, as we know, this was 2021's run, and this is where historically we peaked. But again, just to be safe, because I know Bitcoin is getting a lot of attention by the bigger whales, I don't know if we'll come below the 45% levels. If we do, that's great. I'm fine with not timing the exits perfectly. But for me personally, I need to get around about here. And you might think about scaling out here to some other altcoins. We'll talk about that going forward. But if you're holding to the red zone, just understand it's a very, very risky game and you might risk round tripping it. So again, the way I like to describe this is what we've had here on the weekly. This isn't a dip, it's a shift. This is a solid week after week of red candles. If we get another week to another 2 weeks and we start going down below the 60%, this is where alt season is really going to start kicking in. Now, the second thing you can do, step 2, is looking at the Fear and Greed Index. So this is a screenshot of November 19th, 2024, when Donald Trump won the election and everything was going crazy. The Fear and Greed Index, if it's not obvious by now, this signal ties up to where peak retail and peak FOMO are all in. And usually we want to do the opposite. When we see greens like this, right now I think we're at neutral, right? But when we see greens like this, usually it is a good time to be taking profits out of the market because pretty much everybody's in. People are smart, people are going to be taking profits, and we've seen this time and time again. If we are cold, or we're on the red sign, on the orange sign, usually it's a good time to buy solid coins. Not shit coins, solid coins, and maybe even some Bitcoin. Now, combine this with step 3, if you look at the Coinbase app, I know a lot of people don't like to look at this, and if people just overlook this, but back in October 28th, 2021, pretty much close to peak cycle of Bitcoin in that 2021 bull run, you've seen Coinbase return to number 1 in the Apple Store. And why this is important? Well, because Coinbase is the most used exchange by retail people. So if you combine the Bitcoin dominance, if you combine the fear and greed, and if you combine something like this, usually it's a good time to take profits, and especially in the peak of the bull run, usually it's a good time to exit the market. And you can actually track this. You can follow this account if you want, Coinbase app official. So this is unofficial, but what these guys pretty much do is these guys track religiously 2 times a day, every single day, for inception, where the Coinbase app is currently ranked right now. And you can see just 12 hours ago, all apps it was about 299, and in the financial apps it's 24. So again, this shows to me that we are a long way off, which is very exciting, of being in the top 5 here, maybe the top 50, top 20 here. And usually at the peak of the runs, we will see Coinbase be number 1 in the financial apps and probably top 10, top 20, top 30 in the all app. Now the beautiful thing with this is you can combine all these 3 indicators in the peak of a bull run, and they will pretty much line up with what we know when it's time to get out. That's obviously a very simple way to start doing some research on when to take profits, but I want to take this a little bit step further. So lesson 2, understanding the path to alt season. Now, Secret Cycles of Crypto, he shared this, a lot of people copy this, and I think this is just a good thing to go over. Secret Cycles of Crypto, he did invent this, and this is probably one of the best charts that I wish I had in 2021 to take over to 2025. Now, what this really means is it talks about the path to alt season. So you have phase 1, Bitcoin, phase 2, Ethereum, phase 3, large caps, and phase 4, alt season. Now, again, you can buy the best coin in the game. For example, Bitcoin is the daddy at 20K at 2017's run, or you could have bought it in the bear market of the 2018 at about $3,000. You could have then bought it again at $69,000 in 2021, in 2021's peak run, or you could have bought it in the bear market of $16,000 at 2022. It's the same coin, a completely different outcome. So when Bitcoin ultimately probably hits 140, 160K this bull run, and people FOMO into Bitcoin and they buy Ethereum at 8, 9, 10K or whatever, XRP above $10, or you buy it in the bear market. So again, it's the same coin, but a completely different outcome. So what's the typically good thing to do is start looking at altcoins compared to Bitcoin. If you look at Ethereum, this is Ethereum against Bitcoin, an example here would be that Ethereum is starting to outperform Bitcoin, which is exactly what you want. Now again, we're nowhere near the levels of August of 2021 in the last bull run. We're about 0.06. Right now, we're about 0.03. But this is a great sign to me that we are entering or have already entered phase 2 that the Secret Cycles of Crypto did share in that post before. So what you could do as a quick hack here is let's just look at my portfolio, for example. You could do this and you could understand if we're preparing for phase 3 and phase 4, that kind of euphoria phase in the market. If you have some safer picks, if you're already good with your altcoins, your bigger caps, so that's HBAR, Ethereum, XRP, Solanas, Renders, etc., you could start deploying early in lower caps, okay, if you really are betting on this 4-year cycle. If you're not betting on the 4-year cycle, if you're starting a cryptocurrency bull run in 2025, I don't know how you would exit, right? Because if you're starting today, yes, you could buy Bitcoin in the long term and hold forever, but ideally you want to be taking out profits, and I'm going to talk about that later on in this video. So again, this could be coins like AI, gaming, RWA, Deepin, whatever you really like. An example of what I did 1 month ago. Now again, this is a lower cap, riskier coin, so I just want to be clear on this. I'm not telling you guys to buy this, but here's a perfect example. So 1 month ago, I pretty much bought Medicaid about 0.08. You can see now it's already more than doubled, which is absolutely fantastic. Now what I really did there was understood that gaming was probably going to be a late runner in this bull run. I already had some Gala games, already had some Illumium, which wasn't performing too well. Altara, a game which is down. But for me, Medicaid, for as an example here, was a lower market cap coin that was having some good news on their Twitter page. Now, again, if you just look at the chart here in the last 1 month, it's been absolutely fantastic since I bought it. I did make a video on this. And again, guys, you don't want to just buy my coins. That's not what this video is about. It's about starting a good portfolio. But it's just going back to understanding where we are in the market and really looking at phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and primarily phase 4 in late 2025 of this bull market. Because Coinbase's announcement back in June 13th, if you missed this was absolutely massive, and it could be massive for coins like Medicaid, etc. These guys have started to roll out their retail DEX integration that will enable literally tens of millions of users that already use Coinbase to directly purchase DEX assets from their normal Coinbase account. Because again, as we just talked about, if Coinbase starts to come up the rankings in the peak of the bull run, a lot of people are not going to be interested in buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. They're going to be looking at narratives. They're going to start to understand the game. And a lot of old investors, etc., that maybe got burned in 2021 are going to come back into cryptocurrency. And again, just tying this back to Medicaid, looking at Twitter accounts, looking at following, you can see on their pinned post here, they talked about this back in February, and this was one of the reasons why I decided to buy this coin in my portfolio. Not a lot of money for me, but it was enough for me to take a bet on this. Talked about their biggest partnerships. They've got a big tweet here if you want to link it. I'll probably leave this in the description box if you want to check it out. Talking about partnering with Base and Coinbase to launch their new Layer 3 app chain, because it's super hard for people. If you think about Coinbase, that's where people start, right? If you start looking at Medicaid, for example, it's hard to buy. You could download BitGet, you could download BingX, but as you start to come down here, it's like Uniswap. A lot of people don't understand how to use this, and especially don't have accounts like Bitmark, BingX. They're big exchanges, but they're obviously not as big as Coinbase, etc., making it super hard to buy. So again, if Coinbase, which they are planning to list this on their DEX account with all these tens of millions of users that are using Coinbase, this is only going to create a lot more demand. And again, Coinbase have literally millions and millions of users that are actively doing this, and they might see Medicaid at a 28 million market cap. And again, whatever coin you're interested in, I would really look in the announcement today that's pretty much happening, what coins are going to be listing, because chances are if your coin is going to be listed there, you're probably going to see a big pump in the market as long as Bitcoin can hold its momentum that it's at right now. Another thing you can do is obviously check the website. You can see here Medicaid's users have went from 5,000 in May to 18,000 in June. And July, they had 25,000 active monthly users. And again, I really like Medicaid because it's the home of gaming. And really why I really like it is it's the only gaming coin that's actually made me money on paper. They've got actually decent games. They've got monthly prizes. They've got tournaments. And again, the games actually look decent. You can see all their partners, etc. Superverse, which is obviously one of Alex Becker's biggest, partnerships. You can even see Nuo Tokyo, which is Alex Becker's coin. So I guess probably Alex Becker is going to be talking about Medicaid soon. And as we know, when he starts listing gaming coins, especially tied up with later on in this cycle when gaming coins historically start to run, if that's September, October, November, that's when you start to find some later coins in the gaming space that primarily start to run, just like we've seen in 2021, Axie Infinity, Gala Games, Sandbox, Decentralized Mana. So again, it's something you can look at. I think it's a great project. I've already been open about my investment here. Like again, they have some actually products, games actually working when people can play. And, I like when they have numbers. It's not much, but they've gave 5,000 in monthly prizes. And again, 25 plus games. They've got over 1,000 players, and they've got tournaments of 27. So again, it's just something that I've bought and I've been open about, but it's just tying into this video. Again, if you understand the 4 phases of the cycle, understand where we are, if you already filled up your main bags, then you want to start looking at some lower market cap gems that maybe you like in the gaming space, maybe you like in the AI space, and etc. etc. Lesson 3, and I consider this literally the Bible of cryptocurrency investing, especially if you are starting out today. So please take this one seriously, because if you don't, you're going to have a big chance of losing everything. Alts are for making money. Bitcoin is money in cryptocurrency. Please understand that. You can see here on Crypto Bubbles in the last day, you're starting to see a lot of green in the market. You know, in the last 1 month, you see a lot of green. Obviously, you don't see Bitcoin here because altcoins are starting, especially the top altcoins, are starting to outperform Bitcoin, which ties into what we talked about before with Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin. And then obviously, as we get later on this year, we're going to just see massive candles on a lot of altcoins, top altcoins, and primarily that money rotation will start coming down to smaller market cap altcoins. So in my opinion, if you're investing today in Bitcoin, you're far too late, okay? What you really want to do is buy it in the bear market. Now, again, there's obviously going to be some guys that, you know, are investing in Bitcoin to hold for the long term, and then you're going to have people like Michael Saylor, big companies buying Bitcoin, but these guys have millions, if not billions of dollars in Bitcoin. So they're fine to hold, and they can make a 2x on their billions of dollars and make 2 billion. For us to buy Bitcoin at 115, 116, whatever the price is, and make, you know, 30 to 40K per Bitcoin, but if you only have $5,000, you're not even going to make a 2x on that. So again, use altcoins as a tool to get cash and e.g. set yourself up, get financial freedom, or buy Bitcoin in the bear market. Because the data is brutal in this, and this is a harsh reality. Very few of the top altcoins survive. In fact, I think it's about 90 to 95% actually survive from the 2021 bull run. If not, they're already dead or haven't kept up with Bitcoin's price action this bull run. And that's a harsh reality. Bitcoin is the daddy. Most altcoins, bar obviously your Solanas, Ethereums, XRPs, HBAR, etc., most of them don't come back. Everybody always talks about the top coins. What happened to all the other coins that didn't survive? You can see on this Reddit post here, it talks about Bitcoin all-time high and some altcoins, most altcoins, not even touching their 2021 altcoins. God rest BitBoy Crypto. It seems like he's going down the toilet. Hopefully he survives. But again, Bitcoin pumps 30%, altcoins pump 5%. Now again, if you look at most of the top altcoins, when Bitcoin does pump 30%, yes, solid altcoins will go up 30, 40, 100, 200%. We've seen that across the market. But again, if you're holding dumpster altcoins, you know, trying to revive 2021's bull run, most of them outside of like the top 100, they never ever come back. So there's many, you know, theses in this, and the data is clear in this. Most altcoins do not come back to their 2021 bull run high. Another tweet here is Dan Crypto Trade, shout out him. He talks about the total market cap versus Bitcoin is still showing very little signs of life. So again, this is the market cap of altcoins versus Bitcoin. You can see the total market cap against Bitcoin is just getting wrecked. BTC remains the best overall performing asset. Now again, there's plenty of outperformers, and that's what we're here to do, to try and find if you're building an altcoin portfolio, but you must pick them wisely and carefully. Otherwise, you're far better off holding Bitcoin. Now again, there's obviously some outliers you can see here. This was obviously back in December's 2024 peak. You know, from the 5th to December, you can see SUI up 80%, XRP 414%. Obviously, Bitcoin didn't go anywhere near to these prices. So there are outliers, but just understand if you're choosing random coins with no research, chances are you're better off holding cash, or you're just better off buying Bitcoin. But again, understand where we are in the market, understand the cycles, and hopefully you can position yourself to find those altcoins, and just understand you're not always going to have winners, okay? So don't just buy these random coins. They're not random, they're obviously top altcoins, but if you're just buying them right now, or if you're just, you know, building a portfolio, just do a little bit of research, and then you can position yourself to ride up the altcoins for what they're worth. Remember, do not marry your altcoins, ride them up. Bank cash, quit your job, get financial freedom, whatever you're trying to do, and then buy back the solid coins. If that's Bitcoin in the bear market, Ethereum in the bear market, if you still like Solanas, HBARs, XRP, because when they crash, you can use these altcoins that you rid up, bank profits, and then buy these solid coins for the next bull run at dumpster prices. So again, summarizing that lesson, do not marry your bags, use altcoins in a bull market to rip, but really consider letting them go later on in this cycle. Because this game is for making money, freedom, and really a better life. It's not to hold and hold for potentially more paper gains. If you're up a lot of money, get rid of the coin. There's no attachment here. There shouldn't be any attachment. The attachment should be to your currency of the world. If that's dollar, Canadian, GBP, Australian dollar, whatever your currency you're betting in, that should be the goal in cryptocurrency. You want to marry the profits, not the project. Lesson 4, understanding the most pumpable narratives in crypto. So this was a 2021 tweet again by the Secret Sizes of Crypto. And he talked about the most pumpable narratives back here in this cycle. And you could see there was DeFi, there was Ethereum killers, there was scaling, obviously there was gaming, there was data. privacy, meme coins, etc., etc. And these were the 2021 bull run narratives. So you want to look where the money and attention is flowing to 2025, because it is important to be diversified across the board. AI is an obvious narrative. It's not going away. You've got RWA, real world assets, with BlackRock investing over $1 billion in their fund. E.g., these guys aren't here to lose money. So you want to find the pattern and spot the trends. Another thing you can also do is he also shares this, which again, shout out to Secret Cycles of Crypto. I don't know where he's went, but his account seems to be dead. He's probably super rich, or he's just retired from the game. What he made here was an altcoin research checklist. Now, again, you don't have to tick up all of these boxes. It's very hard to do, but if you can have this, just screenshot this and just tick the boxes with the coins that you like. For example, if you were interested in X coin, well, is it a hot narrative? Let's just pretend we're looking at Render. Well, is Render underneath a hot narrative? Well, yeah, AI is going to be massive, right? Is it destructive? Well, yeah. Is it innovative? Well, yeah, and cryptocurrency actually is. How crowded is the space? Well, AI is very crowded, but if you look at most of the projects in AI, they don't actually do AI. They've just got AI in the name, and plus they definitely do not compete with actual projects like Render, like BitTensor Tau, etc., etc. Do they solve real problems? Well, yeah, they have a valid use case here. And can they achieve a large network effect? Well, yeah. Liquidity, where can you buy it? Well, Render's pretty much listed on most exchanges. Is there enough liquidity to enter and exit your desired position? Well, yeah, it's $1 billion token. So again, if you can come and tick these boxes with narratives you like and tick off as many as these like, then you can pull the trigger and understand if it is a good coin to actually invest in. Because again, meme coins are great. Meme coins have their place, but you have to be careful, because you especially want to be careful if you're chasing pudgy penguins hive, you're chasing, SPXEs, fart coins, etc. There's another one called Useless. There's obviously Brett that I'm interested in, have been invested for over a year now. So just understand what we talked about before. Alts are for making money. They are not the money. So ride them for what they're worth. Have a little meme coin portfolio, but please, please, please understand that most of these coins, especially on this list, are not going to be here after the bear market. I'll give you guys a quick bonus. Obviously, we use DeFi a lot. So DeFi is pretty much where you can use coins you have in your portfolio for either passive income, e.g. cash, or to get more coins in this bull run. We've got 2 new members here. It's a quick shout out, just because I thought it was a very, very exciting news. We've got a big player here that's making $4,000 per day, which is absolutely crazy on his Ethereum and USD position. And we've got Brock here, that's a fairly new member. He's making $16K per month on one of his positions, which is absolutely crazy. Weekly rewards, $4,000 a week. Another guy's obviously $4,000 per day. He's obviously got a little bit more money in. And you can see your Brock, his 2 pools are cooking. Safe to say I'm becoming quite the DeFi junkie. Not Parker, but he's learning. So again, if you can understand DeFi, and you don't have to use DeFi, but it's just another way. If you have some Solana, for example, if you have some, HBAR, XRP, Ethereum, even Bitcoin, Sui, chances are you can use a lot of liquidity pools where you don't have to lock up your assets. Get that to either print you a passive income, just like a real estate would, but obviously we like crypto better, where you don't have to lock up the coins and you get more coins for the bull run. E.g., if you have 1,000 Render and you put that in a pool, and maybe it's making you 100 Render per day, or whatever the maths would be, depends how much you put in. All that 100 Render, if Render goes to $50, $100, yeah, it might only be worth $300 a day, but in the future, it might be worth over $1,000. Depends how fast Render can go. So DeFi is a great way to optimize your income. We do have a free call going on. We have about 98 members right now. So again, you can book a free call. It's a quick shout out. Again, if you don't like plugs, it's absolutely fine. But obviously our results speak for themselves. And we've also just added 5 new modules here that go over absolutely everything with DeFi liquidity pools. So again, you will get to speak to me personally in this group. I do live calls every single Friday and Saturday, and I do have a free onboarding call. So if you want a completely free complimentary call, spots are filling up for this very, very fast. There's a link in description to see if you're a good fit. We're not trying to sell you anything. If we think you're a good fit, obviously we will make the offer to you, but we only want to help people that are actually serious about cryptocurrency, that we can help make a difference. And that's it. That's what I would do if I was starting a cryptocurrency portfolio in 2025. That's my kind of playbook. There's a lot of stuff that I think is going to happen in the market, but if you can understand what we talked about before, it doesn't have to be difficult. You can just take away the old way of chasing price predictions and just understand Bitcoin dominance is king. Play those 5 phases that we talked about. Understand the money rotation, understand narratives, understand team, and hopefully by the end of 2025, you don't have to be like me that lost absolutely everything and had to rebuild for 4 years.